So hey guys, this is Navdeep Singh Jatla. Welcome to my channel. Today we are looking at a new case of a nanny refusal. A nanny means a live-in caregiver case, and let's see what happened in this case. And this applicant has got inadmissible and it has got a 5-year misrepresentation ban. All right, so let's see what happened in this case now. So the applicant is Arti Walia. Okay, this applicant is a 37-year-old citizen of India. In her initial 2013 work permit application, provided documentation outlining her education and training, including a 6-month nanny training course and a nursery teacher's training certificate, and a letter from her purported employer, a school, which indicated that she had worked there as a teacher. On March the 11th, the applicant was denied because the applicant failed to satisfy the language requirement. So the applicant challenged the decision of the judicial review, and on the judicial review on the consent of the minister, the matter was returned to the visa office for reconsideration. Fine. And that reconsideration took place before the officer who ultimately interviewed the application on May 2015. Prior to the interview, the officer requested that the applicant bring certain documents to the interview. So the background of this is the applicant earlier applied for a work permit for nanny, but it got refused. Then they applied for judicial review. They challenged the decision of refusal, and then they got the reconsideration option. And then further in 2015, his case was referred to a different visa officer, and now he's conducting an interview to ask certain questions to this applicant. So while the applicant provided certain of the requested information, she failed to bring 2 specific documents requested by the officer, namely transcripts from her nanny training and salary slips from her employer. She mentioned here, as you can see, her education and training, including a 6-month nanny training course. So training course, it means she got a training, and there must be some mark sheets awarded at the end. All right, and a nursery teacher's training certificate, and a letter from purported employer which indicated she worked as a teacher. So visa officer asked for the documents pertaining to the mark sheet of nanny training. Okay, and then furthermore he also asked for the pay stubs. So the applicant was denied because the applicant failed to satisfy the language requirement. This is number 1. All right, so she failed to bring 2 specific documents requested by the officer, namely transcripts from her nanny training and salary pay slips from her employer. The officer questioned that the applicant about her education and work experience and training. So when she asked why she did not produce the pay stubs, the applicant responded that her employer paid her in cash, and that she did not deposit any money into the bank. Okay, that's fine, it happens in India. And let's see what happens when they try to dig down deep. And after the interview, the officer attempted to contact the employer using the number provided by the applicant, but these attempts proved futile. The applicant was sent a procedural fairness letter alleging that she failed to provide truthful information contrary to the subsection 16.1 of the Act, and the officer noted that the applicant failed to provide the requested information and documents at her interview. So they questioned at the validity of both her education and employment. The officer stated that the employment documents appeared fraudulent and noted that she was unable to contact the employer. The officer gave the applicant an additional 30 days to respond. So the applicant responded with an affidavit providing background regarding her employment. While she could not explain why the officer was unable to contact the school via telephone, she provided telephone bills purporting to show the telephone number associated with the school was in use. Furthermore, the applicant reiterated that no pay stubs were available since she was paid in cash. Instead, she provided other employment documentation such as school's register of employees, photographs of her teaching, a document purporting to prove the principal's status. Finally, the applicant invited the officer to visit the school, provided the contact information for the parents of 2 of its students. In response to the applicant's affidavit, 2 visa office representatives, including the officer, conducted a site visit to the purported employer early in the morning of October 2016. and the address provided for the employer was a house located in residential neighborhood. There was no school signage on the house, only that of a dental clinic. The visa office representatives rang the doorbell, and Mr. Singh, who identified himself as a principal, answered and told them that school started at 10 a.m. and Mr. Singh showed the visa office representatives a room and indicated that this was where students took classes. The officer, however, noted that the room was completely devoid of any children books, carry-ons and toys and classroom furniture. The Mr. Singh stated that the students bring their own materials to the school, which is quite peculiar. Visa officer representatives also spoke to the neighbors of the house. The first neighbor indicated that she knew people inside the house ran a school, but did not know where the school was located, and was unaware that it was being run in the house opposite to hers. So a second neighbor located adjacent to the house indicated that the house was a dental clinic, not a school, and he never saw any children attend the school at house. So I think that was enough for them to determine that all the documents which were produced by the applicant were bogus, were false, and they tried to withhold the material facts. And hence what happened, you can see now, following the visit, we determined that you do not work at the baby model schoolhouse at this, you are a member of inadmissible class. And then she got a 5-year misrepresentation ban. That's how it goes. And when you try to make things up, when you try to choose a way which should not be the way which you should be choosing, so these kind of disasters happen. Now she got a 5-year ban and she's just waiting, she's just sitting here. So instead, if she would have tried to choose the right pathway to attend the 6-month training and got the certificates, and that could have worked in her way, because everything apart from that was almost okay, except the language training. Also for NANNY cases, the most of the applicants required to have sufficient language training skills. For example, in IELTS they must score at least 5 or more in each. All right, so because it is important in case you are taking care of a family, for example in Canada, and you have emergency situation, and then what you have to do is you have to call emergency office, emergency services, you have to take help from people, might be. So these kind of things are important, and for those kind of practices you might have to read something, might have to read my medicine labels which are there, and you have to probably you also have to read the descriptions provided by the doctor or something if you're taking care of an old age person or a child. So there's so many things whereby English is very important, because Canada is an English speaking country. All right, so you have to have certain skills. Even if you have to demonstrate in the form of IELTS test report. So the crux of the story is never try to forge the documents, and you never know, because they dig down deep. If you're not smart enough, if you are hearing a story, let's say a person got through this process and with the fraudulent document, but every case is different, every case is have a different story. So you cannot just simply compare, stating that okay, maybe in your case also it might work. So always try to choose the right path. That's all I can suggest. In case of any questions, please comment down below, and so that we can discuss, and maybe I can help you with something. All right, so thank you so much for your time.